Welcome to my 2020 favorites video, part 1. That's right, I had so many favorites this year that I have to make 2 videos. Carmen Sandiego. I had this as one of my favorite TV shows of last year, and it's one of my favorite TV shows of this year. Not only did I rewatch the entire season, but I also did the interactive special and stayed up until 3 a.m. to watch season 3 as soon as it dropped on Netflix. And it is still my all-time favorite TV show. It's still perfect. I can find almost no flaw in it. I also still adore Chase Stefano with every bone of my being. And I was him for Halloween this year, like last minute. I was like, I know who I have to be, and so I became Chase Stefano, and my younger sister became Julia Argent, and then my younger brother became Player, so that was a lot of fun. And I just think that this show the art style is great, the music is pretty good, the characters are so good. I care about every single one of them, like every single one of them, and it is just an incredible show. And even though it's technically supposed to be targeted at like young audiences, it's for everybody. Literally, there's something in it for any age and any person. It's so good. I don't remember if I had Nancy Drew on my 2019 favorites TV list, because at that point I had only seen 3 of the episodes, but now that all of season 1 has gone up, I have watched every single episode, and I can now without a doubt say that it is a favorite TV show. It is so diverse, it's not necessarily exactly like classic Nancy, but it feels classic Nancy. Like, the characters feel like the characters they're supposed to be representing. They don't feel like characters that just have the name of like Ned and Nancy and Bess and George and stuff. They actually feel like the characters that they're supposed to be, in my opinion. So that made the show pretty great, and the plot is super interesting. And basically, if you like Nancy Drew and you've been hesitant to watch the CW TV show, don't be hesitant anymore. Please try it out. Unless, of course, you like really don't like supernatural stuff. In that case, don't watch it, because that's like in every single episode. But if you don't care about supernatural stuff, like you're just indifferent, or you are really interested in that, then definitely watch the show, because I think it's very well written, and the actors are so good. Like, they have such a good cast in that show. So, if you've been putting it off, now's the time, especially since the end of the month season 2 starts airing, so you better catch up. You're running out of time. The last favorite TV show that I have on this list is Liberty's Kids, which I watched not all of the episodes this year. I didn't rewatch all the episodes this year, but I rewatched like a decent handful of them, and me and Rosie would watch them, and then we would just like laugh at them and make fun of like weird things, but also like super enjoy them, because those episodes, that TV show is such a good TV show. It's funny, but it's compelling, and you learn about American history, which is my favorite thing to do. So if you've never watched Liberty's Kids, but you like the American Revolution, watch it. If you have watched Liberty's Kids, but you only watched it back when you were young, rewatch it. It is so worth it. It is one of my favorite things, and I don't think that I'm ever going to be like, oh, now I'm too old to watch it because it's for kids, because again, it is so good. There are certain episodes where I'm like, no, this is 100% like a very good episode, just flat out, like anyone should watch this and should enjoy it, because it is just a good piece of TV, even though it's an animated kids show. The cast, the voice cast, all of those celebrities voicing the historical figures, some of them are so good at their characters, like, wow. My 2 favorite celebrity voice acting roles obviously go to Benedict Arnold, who is voiced by Dustin Hoffman, and Alexander Hamilton, who's voiced by Andrew Rannells. So, if nothing else, watch for the bonus Andrew Rannells that you get if you watch the episodes that have Alexander Hamilton in them, which might be 1, might be 2, can't remember. But, yes, Andrew Rannells. If nothing else, Andrew Rannells. Also, even though it's a kids show, and it's, like, funny a lot, when they need to be serious, they're serious and they don't, like, lighten up on anything. They are telling history. They're trying to tell history as it actually happened, which I think, especially for, like, a kids show, is, like, super cool and important. So, just PSA, Liberty's Kids is even better than you think it might be. I impulse pre-ordered Manic as soon as I heard Clementine back in 2019, and I was so scared that I had made a mistake. I was like, oh no, I've spent my money on something I'm not gonna like. I'm not gonna like Halsey's album, and then I'm gonna own an album that I'm not gonna listen to, but I was wrong, and I'm so happy I was wrong, because, like, every single song on that album is great, and there's some songs that I just feel, like, too many songs on it, that I just feel personally attacked by. So, it is, I am so glad I own this album. Like, there are some artists and songs where I'm like, oh yeah, I relate to that, but then, like, there are certain songs on Halsey's album, on Manic, that are, I'm getting attacked on a whole nother level. Like, it's crazy. How did she get into my brain and then write songs that have nothing to do with me and yet have everything to do with me? She was one of my top 5 Spotify artists last year, and is also one of my top 5 Spotify artists this year. And I'm sure she was also in my top 5, like, many other years, because I've been listening to her for, like, a very long time. And a lot. So, I love all of her music. It's so good. It is great. It is great for writing playlists. If you're a writer and you're like, I don't know what to add to my playlists, especially villain playlists, add her music to your playlists. If you haven't already, do it. Obviously, my favorite song off of Manic is Clementine, but I also like 3 AM and Ashley and 929, and I didn't buy the deluxe version of the album, so I'm not mad on my copy of the album, but I love that song too. It's so good. Like, the whole album, but that handful of songs in particular are my favorites off the album and attack me a little too much. Panic at the Disco is my favorite band, favorite artist, favorite music thing of all time. It has been at the absolute top of my Spotify top artists, like, every single year, and I just love their entire discography. Like, every single album, every single song, I'm just like, yes. Like, I can sing to you too many of their songs. And since they're not Fall Out Boy, I actually can understand the lyrics of the songs and don't have to look them up most of the time. I have a soft spot for Pray for the Wicked because that was the first tour I've ever been to for a music artist. So, love that album so much. But this year I also started having A Fever You Can't Sweat Out, like, grow on me a lot. And then also, like, I love Pretty Odd and Vices and Virtues, but, like, A Fever You Can't Sweat Out is pretty good, and I, like, regrew my appreciation for certain songs, and then, like, grew appreciation for songs that I just hadn't listened to a bunch. Like, I would just turn on Spotify and go to, like, the every single song playlist for Panic at the Disco, and just turn it on shuffle, and just listen to all the songs, and it's so much fun. Like, I 100% am planning to do that multiple times next year because I just love their music so much. Every time I think that I'm not actually emotionally attached to Undertale, I'll turn on the music and just be like, oh, I'll just listen to it. And then I start almost, like, crying, basically hearing any of it. And then I go, we knew this would happen because I have music nostalgia, like, attachment, and I always have to cry and get emotional over music. every time. If there's any nostalgia and it has to do with music in any form, tears. So we knew this would happen and that I would never not be crying about Undertale. But Toby Fox's music is just so good. Deltarune also has great music, but I'm not as emotionally attached to the music in that game, because it's more like, it's good and there's some sad songs, but it's like mostly a lot of bops. And so it's like, I'm gonna play the game and have a single tear while I'm playing it and listening to music. But it's not like Undertale where I hear any of the songs, especially orchestrated versions of the songs, and I'm just like crying. So, you want me to cry, just start playing music from Undertale, because it gets me right here. It hurts. Specifically, play me the 5th anniversary orchestra video, with like all that music that they did there. Oh, watching that was an experience. Listening to that was an experience. I can't explain to you how viscerally I felt listening to that music. I don't know if I'm making sense, but I experienced feelings the entire time because I love this music so much and it makes me feel emotions and I can't prevent it. So listen to the music if you So long story short, I love Undertale and it will make me cry. You have been warned. I found, I don't know how, when I ended up watching their Do It All the Time video, but that was not the first time I knew that they existed as a band. I had gotten their Social Climb video advertised to me in YouTube and like recommended to me in YouTube like a lot, and I was like, oh, that's a weird name for a band. I don't know how, but they found me. That's a very long title for a band. That's weird. I just never watched the video. And then I was doing something that had to do with like the aesthetic in Do It All the Time, and I was like, oh, I've seen this band handle. I should watch this video because it has to do with something that I'm interested in right now. And so I watched that video and I was like, this music is great. And then I watched a bunch of their other music videos and I realized that they have a high-key aesthetic that is so good, and I'm a sucker for a good aesthetic. So I listened to all their music and I fell in love, and I haven't listened to their album yet, which is a crime on my part, but I'm gonna get around to it. But I listened to all the singles that came out for Razzmatazz, so that counts for something, and I've listened to their 1981 EP over and over again, and I've listened to Modern Day Kane more times than I can count, and I've listened to Nobody Likes the Opening Band over and over again. Sorry I haven't listened to the album, but all the rest of the music I've heard is so good. If you have not listened to this band, you should. It has a former band member from Panic at the Disco, so if you like Panic at the Disco, you will like this, but it's aesthetic. It's Panic at the Disco, but aesthetic, and nothing like Panic at the Disco. That's probably a very accurate description of what this band is. And also, I believe one of the people is formerly from the Brobecks. And so that's also the type of music that this is. But it's also just its own thing. Like, there are other bands that I found this year that I enjoyed that kind of reminded me of this band, but they had their own aesthetics. Like, I don't know how, but They Found Me is a very specific aesthetic, but it's also, like, such a good one. Just listen to their music. It's so good. I'm no help in this video recommending things. It's just me raving incoherently about things that I enjoy, but what did you expect would happen? But yes, I love all of their songs, but I currently have a special place in my heart for Modern Day Kane because of the fact that I used one of the lines in that song to name my D&D bard band. So I will always listen to that song, and when it gets to that line, be like, I stole that line from you to make a band in D&D, I hope you don't mind. So, yes. Things Exist That Aren't Seen came out this year, and it is genuinely oops, all bops, and you really, really, really should listen to it. Like, every single song is so good. There's no like, oh, I skipped this song because I don't like it as much. No, every single song on that album is so good. Please listen to her music. It is so good. This is not describing how it feels at all, but it's so good. It's like ethereal in like a cryptids and aliens kind of ethereal way. And if that's your vibe, listen to her music. She makes such good music. And she needs more people to listen to her music. I take every chance I get to tell people to listen to her music because it's good and not enough people listen to it. Because I found her, and now I'm going to use that power to make other people have to listen to her. I did the hard work of finding her music. Now I will just find all the people I know and force them to fall in love with her music. I've been listening to her music since 2017, and this year she's my 3rd most listened to artist on Spotify. Last year she was my 5th most listened to Spotify artist. Now she's my 3rd most. So you can tell that I like her music if she's both years been in my top 5 and has been getting even higher in my top 5 as the years have gone on. So we're shooting for the stars. She's gonna dethrone Panic at some point. That's not gonna happen, but wouldn't that be incredible if it did? My favorite song off of Things Exist That Aren't Seen is Selfish, because I know that at some point I'm going to sit down and listen to that song and just start crying. It hasn't happened yet because I'm just emotionally numb or whatever, but I'm like, once I get feelings back and I start interacting with people again, and then I come and sit down and listen to that song, I know I'm just gonna be like hit by a truck, just sideways. It's gonna be a wreck, but it's going to be beautiful, and I'm going to appreciate it. And then I'm gonna put that song on loop, because it will destroy me in a good way. I swear that she reminds me of Halsey because of the fact that Badlands and From Craters both are like very aesthetically like intense and like stay with their aesthetic and still feel like they're personally from the artist who made them. But then fast forward to Manic and to Things Exist That Aren't Seen, and those are also heavily aesthetic in their own way, but also seem so much more personal to the artist. Like I can listen to songs from Craters and from Badlands and be like, oh yeah, it's just a song. It just happens to be written by this person. But then if I listen to a song from Manic or I listen to a song from Things Exist That Aren't Seen, I go, oh, this is a Halsey song, or this is a Yazzie song. And it's very specifically in my mind. I'm like, yes, this feels like this specific person made it and it's telling me something about themselves, which I think is super cool and interesting to see in 2 different artists that I loved this year be so vulnerable and honest in their music. So that is super cool, and I appreciate both of them for doing that with their music because it's helped me a lot this year. The first video I ever watched of Cheyenne Barton's was actually her like video talking about like 2020 and like looking forward to it, like looking onto it and kind of looking back at 2019. I forget exactly what the video is titled, but it has to do with like it being January of 2020. And I don't know why that was the video I clicked on. I don't remember being advertised any of her other videos, but I just saw that and for some reason I clicked on it, and I'm so glad I did because I love Cheyenne Barton with my entire soul and being. Oh my goodness, she makes such good YouTube content. I love her art style. She's an actress in Seattle, which is what I want to be. Like, she has a cat named Sophie. Everything is perfect about her. And I'm just so glad that I found her YouTube channel. I now support her on Patreon. I bought some stickers from her over the summer. I can't wait to see more things that she makes. I just love everything. I watch her videos all the time. Like, I'll rewatch her videos to the point where I'm like able to quote things that she says in a video. Like, I know what she's gonna say before she says it because I've seen certain videos so many times. Although my favorite is her video that was a video that she made in like 2017 or something that is called Everything Is a Lot. And if you are a suffering creative or just confused in general about life, watch that video. It's extremely interesting and cathartic, for me at least, and it just means a lot. She says certain things in there that just like hit you right there if you're anything like me. So give that video a watch and then watch her other stuff, and I assure you, you will fall in love and you will not want to stop watching her content because it is so good. It is so good. And she's also the reason that I actually bought an art journal this year. I'm not really good at art, but I really like doodling and stuff. And so I was like, I'll buy an art journal and then I'll have a place specifically to doodle, so I'm not doodling in the lines of my lined notebooks that I really should be using for words and not for doodling in. So I got the sketchbook and I've been kind of filling it out, although for a little segment of time I was kind of writing notes in it for Skillshare classes I was taking, but I'm not doing that anymore, and so now I can go back to just drawing in it, which is really fun, like listening to an audiobook and drawing. So thank you, Cheyenne Barton, for being the push I needed to actually get a sketchbook and actually give me something to do with my pent-up sketching energy. Her aesthetic is really good and calm, but it's also very like real and like honest, and I just think that that's so good. She's such a cool person, and she's just real. I already said that, but she feels very real as a person. She comes across honest in her videos, and when you find someone like that on YouTube who really just is putting so much positivity, but like truthful positivity, out into the world, you hold on to that person. Watch her videos, please. Especially the ones that take place during the beautiful season of winter, and the ones where she's baking, because she bakes a lot. So good. Her videos are so good. Speaking of really good videos, Momo OBrien. I also found her at the beginning of this year. Don't exactly remember which video I found her on, but oh my goodness, that girl does so much work on her videos. She does the amount of work that would normally be taken up by like an entire video production team. She's one person. She's filming and editing like insane amounts of footage to be super cool, and she's a LARPer, which is something I didn't really know was really a thing until this year, but now that I know, I'm in love with the concept and I have to do it because it's everything I love about everything, and I just think it would be so much fun. And watching her videos got me into D&D, and I'm finally in like 3 different campaigns, and I made my own like entirely homebrewed like world using like D&D like dice rules and like stat whatevers. I obviously don't know what I'm talking about, but I did it and it was fun, and I made a one-shot in a secret agent thing, but that's besides the point. We're talking about Momo, and her videos are so good. I love her pastel aesthetic in her clothes. It's so good. I just, especially watching her videos during this year has been great, because since you can't go outside and travel, you can watch her videos and get taken to a completely different world, basically. So that's pretty cool, and I would highly recommend her videos. They're so good. The amount of production in each video is incredible. Like, you don't even understand until you watch it, like, just the amount of editing and work and post-production and, like, everything that's going into making this, like, an incredible video. So, she doesn't post often because of the fact that it takes forever to make these videos, but when she does, it's something that you will want to, like, focus on every single detail of, because it's so good. It's an experience every single time. It is everything that I love, because I love playing pretend, I love acting, I love getting into costume. I have to do a LARP. Once I can do a LARP, I will do a LARP. Mark my words, it will happen one day. She is my favorite booktuber, which is wild because I've been watching booktube for so many years, And all of a sudden in 2020, I find a new booktuber, and she's now my favorite, and I click on her videos as soon as they're uploaded. Like, I have her notification bell on, so I know exactly when she's uploading a video. I click on it immediately, drop everything else. I don't do that for, like, literally anybody else that I'm subscribed to. But her videos are just so good. The cinematography or editing, I don't really know how to describe it, but just her videos look so cool and good, even when it's just her standing and talking about a book, or being in a slightly different corner of her room. Her videos are so good, and she's very eloquent about talking about books, or at least as eloquent as you could be to make it interesting. She's more eloquent than me, and that makes her my favorite booktuber. So, yes. But she's the reason I ended up reading Vicious, finally, after knowing that that book existed for, like, altogether way too long. And I'm so glad I did, because I love that book now. But also, I started listening to the Six of Crows audiobook. I didn't get very far into it, but I started because of her, and I think I will continue at some point. But I have too many books to read before then. But that's another topic for another month. But her videos make me want to get really good at making booktube videos, which I know I will never be good at, because you have to be good at talking to be able to make booktube videos, and I'm not good at that, apparently. But I love book stuff, and her videos are such good book stuff. So if you like book stuff, watch her videos. Also, she's from the Netherlands, so she has a cool accent, so that's a bonus. If you like watching people who aren't American booktubers, she's another person to add to your list, because her videos are so good. Okay, well, it's gone now, so you can't watch it anymore, but it was still one of my favorite things of 2020, so I have to talk about it. But I didn't used to follow Ethan. I didn't know he existed as a person until he was on the 10-minute Power Hour. I didn't subscribe to Mark either until this year, but I knew that he existed, obviously. I just never watched anything he made, except I think he played the Stanley Parable at some point, and I remember watching him play that. But other than that, I have not watched him play anything. But then this year came around, and I found Unis Honest because it was mentioned in a 10-minute Power Hour video, and then I went, oh, I should really watch that. And then I got recommended the video where they went to a, what's it called, an escape room. They went to an escape room, and I'd never seen an escape room like the escape room they went to, and I was just like, whoa. So then I watched all their other videos, and they were so good. Every single day around 3 p.m., which is when they would come out during Eastern Standard Time, I would be waiting at my computer ready to watch the video, then I'd watch it, and it would be so good every single day since, like, July. It was so good. I cried when they deleted the channel. It was cathartic. It was just an experience, and literally the next day, my brain hadn't clicked that they deleted it, so we were ramping up into it being almost 3 o'clock, and my brain was like, ah, wow, it's almost 3 o'clock, that means they're gonna upload another video, and then I went, oh, because I forgot that they deleted the channel, and that was the biggest disappointment I've ever felt in my entire life. But their videos were so funny, they were so chaotic, and I can't wait to see what Ethan and Mark make on their own channels, with their own selves doing things. Mark has currently been doing like solo Unis Honest vibes types of videos. Ethan hasn't yet, but he definitely, I'm sure, will at some point. Or he'll do something super cool that feels nothing like Unis Honest, but it's still super cool. But I'm subscribed to both of them now, and I really like their content, and I wish I'd subscribed sooner, because I didn't know that they were that cool. But I should have known. Except I didn't know Ethan existed until this year. So, I'm forgiven on that front, but I'm not forgiven for not watching Markiplier sooner, because his videos are so good. And now I look up to both of them as creators, and I want to get better, because they're super cool and they worked super hard on something, and I want to work super hard on something. So, yeah, this is not me now saying I'm going to work super hard on something and actually work super hard on it, because I'm not capable of doing that. But, you know, it's the thought that counts. So, here's to me claiming I will work hard on something once in my life. So those are all my favorites for this year. And if you have any favorites from this year that you would like to talk about that fall under these specific categories for this week, I would love to talk about them in the comments. And if you are interested in seeing what I talk about next week, you should definitely subscribe, and you should also like the video if you enjoyed it, because while the filming of this was a mess, the pre- and post-production took me a long time, so you should like this video to inflate my ego, because I'm on a journey to inflate my ego, and this would really help. So, like this video to help me with that. To help me reach my truest potential of a person with a gigantic ego. So TLDR and probably a very long video, but subscribe if you want to see what my favorites are for next week, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye!